So my name's Andy Costello. I'm Skills for Life Product Manager, and I've got Liz Rowlands with me today, Principal Examiner for ICT and Digital Skills. And this webinar is about our new Essential Digital Skills qualification. So firstly, then, just to set the scene for these qualifications, from the 1st of August this year, what we've actually seen is withdrawal of funding in England for that sector subject area ICT for users for all qualifications in that space, apart from essential digital skills qualifications, which are approved by Ofqual, and for functional skills in ICT. Now, the functional skills ICT are kind of based on older standards, so they're only approved, I think, at the moment until next year, this current funding year. So we do think they're going to be reviewed very shortly, and they will probably be based on the national standards for essential digital skills, I think, going forward. But this webinar is obviously about the essential digital skills, and our qualifications have now been approved by Ofqual. We've got them at entry 3 and level 1. Both of the qualifications are 45 guided learning hours and 50 hours of total qualification time. We've developed the assessment so that it all takes place on a computer online, and the qualifications are fully funded. Base rate is £300. And now there are uplifts for learners from different areas and with different disabilities. So our qualifications are based on the national standards for essential digital skills, which are published by Department for Education, and they cover the 5 skills areas within those standards. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these, because you're probably already familiar if you're on this webinar, but you will be able to find them if you do a quick Google. You can also see them on our website, and there's a link in this presentation at the end, which will take you to our website, and you can find things like the standards and qualification specifications, all the sorts of things that you would need as a centre in order to prepare and to deliver these quals. Each of the skills areas is broken down into a series of skills statements, and it's the skills statements that we are assessing as part of this qualification. Just a little bit on this slide about coverage and weightings. So you will see that we've got different weightings at the different levels in terms of the coverage of the different skills areas. So at entry 3, you can see we've got much more of a kind of broad spread of coverage, whereas at level 1, which we see as kind of a qualification that's applicable to a work environment, we've got a little bit more focused on the creating and editing part and the using devices part. So the assessment, our assessment is split into 3 parts. The first part is a knowledge test. This is 12 multiple choice questions. Each of the multiple choice questions has a question and then 4 possible answers. Only 1 correct answer and 3 distractors. We've then got scenario-based tasks, which is the kind of the real meat of the assessment. And this is a series of skills-based tasks, which really test the learner's skills against the skills within the standards. And then for anything where it was difficult to assess as part of a controlled assessment with a kind of a larger group, we've got observed tasks. So this is for things like making a video call, where it would be very difficult to do that in a controlled kind of exam environment. So what we've done is we've separated things like that out, and things where the evidence is not really naturally occurring. into an observed task, where it's very easy for a tutor to sit with a learner or a little group of learners in order to conduct those tasks and just observe them in doing and using their device. So the assessment for essential digital skills for us is on demand. I've mentioned that it's online. It's use a web browser, so you don't have to do any downloads or anything like that. You just use a link and access the assessment platform. And then we've also, for marking, we've developed a new marking platform for centres to mark these assessments. We've done that because we looked at the existing ones that we had access to, and we actually thought we need something a little bit different that presents this a little bit more simply. Didn't need to be as some of the marking platforms are set up that we've got access to. We didn't want it to be complicated to look at, and we wanted it to be as quick a process really for centres to go through and mark the learner work and things as possible. So the resources that we've made available, obviously we've got this series of webinars where we're kind of introducing the qualifications and introducing the key features of our qualifications. Once you do go through the approval process for the qualifications, we've also got full training programs. So we'll deliver a session with you. At the minute, we're delivering those face to face. Once we get things fully kind of up and running, and we've made all the kind of system refinements and things that we need to, then we'll probably make available a series of videos so that you just watch a video of any kind of part of the process that you need to kind of have a refresher on. We've also got some sample assessments so that you can see what an assessment looks like, and you can go in and use the assessment platform, and the learners, importantly, can go in and familiarise themselves with the assessment platform. In terms of progression, I just wanted to mention a few ways that you might be able to kind of maximise your funding around essential digital skills qualifications, and just mention some of the key progression routes into and out of. There's not many progression routes, I think, into because the essential digital skills at entry 3 is for people with low or no digital skills. If you do get someone or a group of learners with kind of absolutely no digital skills, and you want to, if you think actually they're not quite ready for a full entry 3 qualification, we do have the entry 2 award in digital basics, and what that does is it assesses against all the prerequisites to the entry 3 qualification. So that will be a nice short course that you can deliver to learners pre-essential digital skills. Then I'm not going to go into too much detail about the other progression routes out of the qualifications, but we do have a number of other more advanced qualifications for digital skills. The digital productivity focuses on Microsoft in particular, the digital skills certificates and awards focus on generalistic and use different applications. The NOCN Quick Marker is, as I said, the new platform that we've developed specifically for these qualifications, so that we can present the evidence for these qualifications quickly and easily to tutors, so that they can mark their work. I'm not going to kind of too much detail, but you will get these slides afterwards with the information. What I'm going to do in a short while is demonstrate the marker platform, so you'll be able to see what it looks like from a marker's perspective. Training, we do require all people that are involved in the delivery of these qualifications at centres to go through training. What we're not saying is that everybody has to go through the training with NOCN. What we would expect is that some of your staff go through training with us, as many as you want really, and then once trained up, they can do training for other people within the centre. If you've got new assessors that are just joining you and things, then you can kind of deliver that training to them. And as I said, what we're going to do is make available a series of training videos and kind of supporting materials so that you'll be able to have access to those that training at any point, delivery at any point in time. We'll also be developing a training video for learners for preparing for the assessment. And that'll go through some of the basics around the assessment platform and some of the kind of specific things that they need to be able to do before undertaking an assessment. So in terms of conducting the assessments, these are done under controlled conditions. We went for controlled conditions rather than kind of sort of full invigilation conditions of an exam. We do want these to feel, we want them to feel quite relaxed in the environment, and really what we're trying to do with these assessments is simulate what it's like in the real world. We do provide guidance within various documents for centres, and also I think a key point to mention for centres is that the tutor can conduct the assessment, so it doesn't have to be a separate invigilator that's not been involved in the training. So I'm going to pause there and see if we've got any questions, Liz, and then once we've answered any questions, we'll go on to some demonstrations of the platform and then the NOCN quick marker as well.
Okay. We have no questions really, just will the PowerPoint be sent out? Yes, it will. And obviously we can't, so we're going to demonstrate the platforms to you, so quick marker and the assessment platform. Obviously that's not going to show on this PowerPoint, which is why we are recording, and they'll be able to for you to refer back to. But if anybody has any questions, suggestions, requirements, anything like that, please let us know. There's somebody typing in the chat for a second. Is there a charge for the training?
No, there's not a charge for the training. So it is mandatory training before we kind of allow you to register learners. Once you're approved as a centre, we'll deliver that. We'll arrange a suitable time for us to deliver that training to you.
And how do you book the training?
So once you've gone through the onboarding process, you will be contacted by our training team, and they'll go through and they'll offer some dates for you, and it's just a case of arranging a mutually
convenient time between the centres. And I think my video has gone offline. I do apologise, it's just been knocked out, so I do apologise if it's just a black screen. I'll try and fix it in the next section. But as far as that, no other questions at the moment, Andy?
Lovely. Okay. Right, I will just turn that off and then platform.
As we go through, anything that you think would help you as a centre, any feedback or any requirements, you pop them in the chat, that'll be fine, and then we can review them after and obviously see if we can develop those resources for you.
Can you see my screen again?
Yes, we can.
So this is what you'll be greeted with when you log in as a learner to our test platform. So you can pick the box and then you to confirm who you are, and then you could go to live exams. I haven't got any live exams set up on my account, so we've got practice tests. But what we'll just show you first is that if you've got learners with needs, there are a couple of options in terms of presenting the screen in different kind of different contrast and different visibility. So I'm going to switch that back to normal for myself. But just to let you know that that is very an option available to learners. We'll go to practice tests, and we should there get some digital skills. We get some instructions before the test. It's telling me about part 1. Start test. Might just take a second to load. Or a few seconds. So there we are. We're straight into the test, and straight into the multiple choice questions. So some questions will come with images, and then there you've got your 4 possible answers. In terms of your test system and your navigation, there's various ways to navigate around. So I can flag a question to come back to if I need to review. I can look down here at these little circles, and I can see these tell you quite a lot of information. So I can see because that's gone red that I've flagged it. I can also see that I've not answered any of these because they're still white circles. I do answer and then through. I've got a little button for next and then one for back, but I can also use these buttons up here. So various ways to kind of move around the test. If I don't answer a question, you can see it stays as white. If I do answer it, then you can see that it goes blue in the middle to show that it's been answered. We've also got a feature here that pops out and shows you how many got each question. So I can see that I've got 10 unanswered questions, answered 2 and I've flagged 1. And I can navigate quickly to the questions that I've not answered and review that with that bar as well. So that's my answer for that. And really, this is just a series of multiple choice questions. I won't answer every one, embarrass myself. Once you get to the end, if you are happy as a learner that you've answered everything, I'm going to click next part at the top. I can see here then that I've not actually answered 9 of the questions, I've only answered 3. So I can, if I want, and at that point return to the assessment, go back and answer the questions that I've not answered. In this case, because I'm just proceed to action. You get some instructions for section 2. So section 1 is meant to be done without any access to the internet. Section 2, everything changes, and we expect learners to be using the internet, and they will need to in order to answer a lot of questions. So that's the kind of big difference between the two. Click to start part. The timer here starts counting down. Apologies as well. That is a glitch that is happening to us in the practice environment. So you are seeing this image that obviously appeared in question 1, part 1. That is being worked on, and I think the fix is very, very close to that. Just seems to be in the practice environment, not quite sure why, but it will be fixed very shortly. So yeah, section 2 then, part 2, the test, is a scenario-based task. So here I've got to take a screenshot of a folder and create a folder and take a screenshot of it. So what I might do is just see that. How that looks.
I think Andy's screen is frozen.
So
Andy, you froze then for about 10, 15
Yeah.
seconds.
Apologies. I thought I'd got over my internet troubles, but clearly not.
The gremlins are still there.
It's whenever I'm doing a webinar. Yeah, sorry. So what I'm going to do is just take an image. I'll just copy and paste that into the box, so we can see we've got a folder, and there we go. Created a new folder on the desktop and add that into there. Now I'm not going to do this the whole test, but we could be here an hour and 7 minutes quite easily. So I'm going to kind of just skip through a few questions, but hopefully that gives you some idea of kind of how the system works and how easy it is. You can take a whole screenshot with Control P if you're on a Windows computer, and just drop that in, or you can use things like snipping tool. I would recommend for most learners just probably taking a Control P, purely because it gets everything on screen. So questions like this, where you get the whole image on, it might be useful for learners, not kind of as a debt with a computer as others. It might be just easier to take a picture of the whole screen. You can see the types of questions that we're asking. This one is one where it's an example of one where we're kind of testing the application knowledge. So we're asking which device they use to take a photo, where to take a photo, and then to tell us about what device they use and what method of communication they use.
Andy, there's a question about the actual section there on that device one there. If you just go back to the device one, it says the learner needs the device to take the picture. Can this be their own, or does the centre need to provide it?
It can be their own, yeah. So the idea is that for this section of the test, they will probably need to complete this section of the test on a PC or a laptop, and that probably needs to be provided by the centre. Although if they've got a PC or a laptop, the potential is that their own. But they are permitted within this section to use other devices for parts of the assessment. So for me, if you asked me to take a photo of myself or something, I would get my phone out rather than use this camera on my laptop, because I find it much easier. So it's really to kind of allow learners to kind of use the device as much as possible, use a device that they're comfortable with, really.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll keep going through there. So this one is about searching and navigating on the internet. We've got to find on this one, navigate to a NatWest website. And these tasks will vary, so it won't always be kind of looking to navigate to a bank website. We'll set various different questions as part of the live assessments. And this takes you through a series of steps. So they've navigated to the web page. They then need to find savings accounts, and they've got a screenshot showing that they can find the page for savings accounts. So it's really about navigating and finding information using the internet. And then again, to just find savings account. So it's kind of just walking them through a process. And then this question. So what we've also done with certain questions, is certain parts of the standard. We looked at certain parts, particularly the buying online bit. As part of the test, we thought we couldn't really require a learner to really buy an item online. So what we did was try to simulate that part of the process. So we've created what we are kind of referring to as simulated environments. Really a bunch of fake websites which don't actually do anything, don't take any payment, actual payments, but kind of stimulate the process for a learner so that we can test that they can use those skills in order to buy something online. I click through to that one. They were asked within the question, I think they asked to contact about the query about this memory card. So what I'm going to do is go into there, and down the bottom here is a contact us button, and I can type in name, email, and then it's on that it's not valid email, but I can then type any question in there and click that and query. Part that, and then I can take a screenshot to show that I've done it. The next part is actually buying the memory card. So click through that link, we can see a memory card pops up, and then add that to the basket. And go to my basket. At this point, I would then take a screenshot, drop it in here, and go through to the checkout. Then on the next question, I'm being asked to go to the checkout, taking the screenshot. So you can do that. Get there. Next, I need to use a credit card. Use the right option there. And the cards will pop up at the side as well as being presented within the platform. I've got it in two places really. And I can really just go through input details, input the card information, and then click to pay, and it'll take me to a confirmation screen. So make the purchase. So really, we just walk through, and that's it. That's the end of that test. The third part in any test is what I mentioned earlier, is the observations. So this section is completely blank. The learner won't have to fill in anything on this section. It is just here as a kind of placeholder to be able to put marking and collate all the results together. So I'm going to finish the test, finish that test, run through every question, and yeah, I'm going to answer many. And that is it. For the test. So I'm going to stop there. I'll go through the observations when I go through the marker platform, because that's where they appear. Have we got any questions then, Liz?
Yeah. So from Darren, would it be possible to go back and change any answers if you have enough time?
Yeah.
Yeah, go back and change them. And obviously the device one, that's about it for the ones that have come through so far. But has anybody else got any questions that they'd like to put in the chat at this moment in time? Okay, just got a couple of people typing, so just give me a second. Your audio's a little bit funny again as well. You might need to come a bit closer to your PC. So when you lean closer, it seems to go a bit clearer.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Does the exam include social media? Not quite sure. Can you be a bit more specific there, Mark? Is your mic, have I done your mic, Mark? Where are you? Have I given you mic? Yeah. Mark, can you be a bit more specific? Do you want to put your mic on and just be a little bit more specific with that question?
One of your competitors does an same thing, but there the learner has to have signed up to a social media account.
We steered clear of some of those things because of GDPR. So we were a little bit uncomfortable having, well, very uncomfortable actually, having learners put in their own personal details, their email addresses, even photographs now we're shying away from, which is why the test site was established, so that we were obviously keeping data protection at the fore there. Would you agree, Andy?
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's what we have tried to kind of if we are going to cover that, it's probably going to be as part of an observed task, so that we're not kind of capturing evidence of, you know, we certainly wouldn't expect a learner to log into their own social media account as part of an exam and take screenshots of their environment on social media. That just wouldn't be right, and certainly as well we wouldn't want to require someone to sign up to, say, Facebook, because, you know, not everybody wants to sign up to Facebook. That's not necessarily the reason that they're doing an essential digital skills course. So I guess we would expect learners to have an awareness from the course of being able to do that, and the kind of skills that they would need to be able to do that is the skills that we're testing, really, not that they can that they have a Facebook account or a Twitter account.
As you saw with the transacting one with the credit card, anything that we do whereby there is a contact form to complete, they will be given fake details that they can use, because as Andy said, it's not inputting their details that we're interested in, it's just the skill of inputting details into a contact form or into a transaction. So yeah, we steer clear of any personal information for that reason.
Yeah,
does that answer your question, Mark? Hopefully. Okay, Carol. Oh, sorry, Mark is typing. Great, lovely, thank you, Mark. Carol, how long will it be before everything is ready? Well, we're open for registrations now.
Yeah. So I mean, it is kind of, we are ready to go. So yeah, whenever you're ready and you sort of go through the approval process, we'll look to get a date as soon as possible for training and things like that. And then once you've had the training, you're good to go.
Yeah, we've got the papers written and papers being commissioned, so we're on with that as well. So yeah, we're, like I say, we're good to go. Yeah. Any other comments so far, or suggestions or requirements, feedback, anything at all? Just give it another second, Andy. People are typing. If you prefer to use your mic, it's absolutely fine. You can just, you know, put your hand up or something, and then we can use the microphone. How long does the registration and approval take? So centre approval, Andy, so if they're already an approved centre with NOCN, or if they're not an approved centre, what kind of timescales are we looking at? Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I don't have the exact answer on that, but we have recently really tried to improve that process, centres. So really, if you can get the information that we need to make that decision to us, you know, in a timely manner, we will be kind of back in touch and we, you know, work with you through the process so that we get it through as quickly as possible. I don't know what sort of timescale we work to, but we can find that out and send that out afterwards.
Okay. How much time would be required for the training?
So for the training, we delivered it in 2 hours.
Okay.
So about 2 hours. I think once we've gone through the training a few times, and we're doing it face to face initially, because that really kind of allows you to kind of have a bit more of an interaction with people. You get to know what sorts of questions people want to know, what sorts of things you might not have included in the training. So once we create videos, they'll probably be a little bit more condensed, a little bit shorter. But initially, the training is taking about 2 hours.
So when you say face to face, you actually mean sort of face to face on Zoom,
I mean
Teams,
face to face over a Teams or a Zoom call. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sort of physically within people's centres. It's going to be.
Yeah. We're not expecting you know you to come into an office or you know for us to do a face to face meeting in that sense. I think face to face more just that we can hopefully see each other.
Interactive training, so that questions can be asked. Okay, lovely. Just one other question being typed up here. No, okay, lovely. I don't think there's any other questions at the moment.
Okay. Well,
do you want to continue?
Yeah, we'll go on to marking.
Quick.
So this is what you will see when you log in to QuickMarker. So QuickMarker is hosted on something called NOCN Hub, which probably not many of the existing centres, unless they're involved in job cards, will be familiar with. But this is where we've kind of chosen to host QuickMarker. So you'll log in to the NOCN Hub, and depending on what other things you do with us, you'll have a dashboard with maybe 2 or 3 other icons to different parts of it, the system. But for me, I've just got access to QuickMarker. Click to go into QuickMarker. This is where I'll be able to see any pending tests in this list that I need to that are available for marking at my centre, and I can see any that have been marked. And on this screen, you can also see whether they've been reviewed by NOCN's Journal Quality Assurer, and that's going to either be a yes or a no in that column, and then a date that they've done that. So what I'll do is I'll go through into that sample test. I'll just show you the process. So what this system does is basically presents back the screenshots that the learners have hopefully captured as part of their assessment, and any text and information that they've entered in the question boxes as needed. So you will then be presented with the question that they've been asked, and you get these buttons to add or take away marks. So it should be very straightforward. You've got scoring criteria for each part, and there are questions where we'll see have multiple buttons, assign multiple marks to a task. Obviously, because this one is a 1 mark question, we've got a 1 mark, so I can see that person has created a new folder, so I'll give them a mark. If I wanted, there's some of the questions where your learners presented you with some maybe a little bit more ambiguous evidence that you still think they deserve the mark, put a comment in there to justify why you've given a mark, so that you've got an audit trail of why you've made the decisions that you have. Click through. And this will save as you go along. So as you add marks and click through the different questions, it will save. See that they've filled the requirement there. Actually, no, they're not. They're not put in. So take that off. Go on to the next question for that. Now, the evidence here is not always kind of necessarily relevant to the question. It's kind of more just for demo purposes, but you can see that any screenshots that the learner's taken will be presented there in the side, and then the question, and then scoring criteria. So this is one where it's a little bit more complex scoring criteria, and you can add multiple marks to the question as you observe the evidence. I'm not going to go through sat this test and we've seen the questions. That's the NatWest. That's the banking one where they have to find the web page. So you can see that they've found the web page there. And again, we managed to locate the savings page. You can kind of see how quick it is, possible to mark this really quickly. See that they've got the savings account showing the name there, the interest rates. I can see interest rates there, so I can give them the mark. And finally, when you get so far, you will get to the observation task. This is where you'll find details of which observations have been assigned to the learner. So you will be able to see the observation, and you can then add the marks, deliver the observation tasks to the learners, and add the marks in. So you can see, scroll through one so you can see those tasks. And again, each time you've got the buttons and you've got the ability to make comments if you need to. So for the observations, what we would say is comment on what you've observed. So the board that you've observed the learner doing X, Y, Z, which obviously fulfills the marking criteria. And that is it. So once you've done that, you've got to hit this screen. We're also adding in a summary screen as well, so you'll be able to check your marking and make sure that you've kind of answered, that you've marked all the questions, that you're kind of happy with what you've done. Once you're happy, you can click submit, and it will then go to our inbox for external quality assurance to check if you are kind of subject to that check. If you've got direct claim status, it would then the result would then flow back through the system, and we can issue a result. So that is really the marker platform. Are there any questions on that, Liz?
Yes. Okay. So can remote invigilation be arranged?
Remote invigilation, yeah, is possible.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do remote invigilation for these qualifications.
Okay. And is there a mark scheme for each test, or is it down to the marker's interpretation of the question?
No, so there is a mark scheme for each test. So if I do back through the mark scheme is this bit here. So it's probably not a good example just because the answer doesn't really mean much. But here you can see been asked to go to the checkout, take a screenshot. So I can see the mark scheme is there, and I can see that they are at the checkout. I can give them a mark for that one.
What's under view more?
Sorry, I missed that. Please.
What's under view more? If you put on the question details on the right, if you click on view more, what does it show you?
So it's just the question. So some
okay.
question. What we've done is as a rule, we've set this so that you see maybe the first 2 or 3 lines of text, And then so that we're kind of getting these buttons and things on the screen, so you're not having to do lots of scrolling. If it's a longer question, you can click view more and it'll open up the full question. But kind of as the idea is, as you sort of have gone through, you know, maybe 2 or 3 learners, you probably know what the question is that you're looking at, so you don't necessarily need to kind of have that information on screen, but you can get it if you need to kind of go, oh, I'll just check which question I'm marking here.
So you can see the learner and then underneath scoring. So where we've called it scoring, that actually is the mark scheme.
Yes.
Right, lovely. Okay. Is there any other questions at the moment that anybody would like to raise? Well, I'm waiting for that, Andy. Is there much more to go through on the webinar? It's just conscious it's 10 to 1 if people need to leave at 1.
No, the only thing I was going to do is to say that once we do send out these slides, there's this section at the end of the presentation for further links, and these do link through to our website or parts of our website, and you'll be able to find some of the key information about these qualifications. So you've got the qual spec, you've got the content that we're assessing, you've got some frequently asked questions, which if you do have questions that are not on there, let us know, and you know, we do update that document as well. So we're trying to make sure that we're answering questions as they come in. But hopefully that answers most of your questions, you know, together with this webinar and things like qual spec.
Okay. There's no other comments or questions or feedback coming up there. So from our point of view, have we covered everything that we want to cover?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's been useful for people, and you know, if you do have further questions and things like that, then that page on our website, you'll get there's a contact us form, so you can make an inquiry, or if you're already with NOCN and you've got a relationship manager, then you know,